Be brutally honest with yourself for a second. When you hear the word monogamy, what do you feel? Comfort? Security? Pride? Or fear? Maybe even suffocation? Why is it that so many people swear by monogamy as the only real way to love, and yet cheating, betrayal, and secret desires remain everywhere around us? If monogamy is truly natural, then why does it seem so fragile? So, here's the uncomfortable question most people are too afraid to ask. Is monogamy our natural state, or is it just a beautiful cage society locked us in? And I'm not here to give you the easy answer. I'm here to give you the real one. But before we begin, I want you to do two things. First, hit that subscribe button to join Psych Rhythm, because here, we don't recycle cliches. We challenge the rules of psychology, philosophy, and relationships so you can see life through a lens most people avoid. And second, comment the word real below if you're ready to face the truths about love and desire that could change the way you see your own relationships. Now, let's go back to the beginning. For most of human history, monogamy wasn't the rule. In fact, early tribes lived in ways we might call shocking today. Sex wasn't restricted to one partner, children were raised communally, and no one obsessed over whose child belonged to whom. Desire flowed more freely, without the legal and moral cages we built much later. So when did monogamy arrive? It didn't start as romance. It started as ownership. Once men began acquiring land, wealth, and property, they needed a system to control inheritance. That system was monogamy. By controlling women's sexuality, men could ensure their children were legitimate heirs. Marriage contracts, fidelity rules, religious blessings, all of it was designed not to protect love, but to protect property. Philosophers and religious leaders later coded it with morality. Aristotle argued marriage and fidelity maintained social order. St. Augustine sanctified monogamy, claiming it was God's will. And over centuries, we were taught to equate exclusivity with purity, loyalty, and moral goodness. But here's the paradox. What began as control over property turned into the foundation of our idea of love. Monogamy was never meant to be about romance. And yet today, if you even question it, you're seen as immoral, broken, or unworthy of love. So let me ask you again, is monogamy really natural? Or are we living inside a system designed centuries ago for control, one we now confuse with love itself? Stay with me, because this question only gets more dangerous, more personal, and more liberating from here. But let's leave history for a moment and talk about today, because no matter how noble we try to make it sound, monogamy isn't as effortless as people pretend it is. Look around. How many of your friends, coworkers, or even family members have been touched by betrayal? Someone cheated, someone stayed, someone forgave but never truly forgot. Some couples pretend everything is fine while quietly resenting each other. Others walk away, unable to keep living inside the cage. Here are some real stories I've seen in my life. Story 1. A man stayed loyal to his partner for 15 years. On the outside, he was the model husband, faithful, committed, the one everyone admired. But when he spoke honestly in private, he admitted something darker. He said monogamy felt like slowly cutting off a part of himself. That yes, he loved his partner deeply, but suppressing every attraction, every spark of desire towards someone else made him feel half alive. He never cheated with his body, but emotionally, he had already left long before the marriage ended. Story 2. A woman forgave her partner after he strayed. They worked on rebuilding their marriage. At least that's what it looked like from the outside. But inside, resentment never left her. She smiled, she stayed, but she quietly carried the wound. And years later, when the opportunity came, she cheated too, not out of passion, but out of revenge. She said it wasn't about desire, it was about finally taking back power. These stories aren't rare. They're everywhere. And they show us something uncomfortable. Maybe the issue isn't that people are weak. Maybe the issue is that the system itself asks for something humans were never built to give. If monogamy were truly natural, wouldn't it feel easy? Wouldn't we simply be wired that way, like breathing or blinking? But for so many, it feels like an endless battle against their own nature. And yet, here's the contradiction. For others, monogamy feels like the safest place in the world. It's not a prison, it's a home. To wake up every day next to one person, to know they are yours and you are theirs, is the deepest comfort they've ever known. For them, love without exclusivity doesn't even feel like love. So which one is the truth? Maybe it's neither. Maybe monogamy isn't natural or unnatural at all. Maybe it's simply a choice that works for some and burns others alive. But here's where philosophy stings us again. Nietzsche once said that morality is often just society's way of controlling the individual. What if monogamy isn't about love at all, but about control, dressed up as virtue? And yet, without some form of commitment, without some boundaries, can love really survive? Can freedom and stability live together, or must one always destroy the other?
Alternatives and redefining commitment. And this is where the conversation gets really uncomfortable. If monogamy feels unnatural for so many, then what are the alternatives? Some people turn to polyamory, loving more than one person at the same time, with complete honesty. For them, love doesn't shrink when it's shared, it multiplies. Others practice serial monogamy, being fully committed to one person at a time, but moving on when the relationship has run its course. And then there are those who refuse labels altogether, choosing conscious non-monogamy, creating relationships on their own terms, not society's. Now, here's something most people don't expect. Studies show that people in ethical, non-monogamous relationships often report higher honesty and stronger communication than those in traditional monogamy. Why? Because they're forced to talk about everything. Desires, fears, boundaries. Nothing can hide in the shadows. Meanwhile, in monogamous relationships, people often avoid those same hard conversations until betrayal rips everything open. But let's be real, non-monogamy isn't some magical fix. It requires emotional maturity, radical honesty, and a deep sense of security within yourself. Without those, it can collapse into jealousy, chaos, or heartbreak just as quickly as any marriage can. Philosophy helps us here. Jean-Paul Sartre argued that real freedom means consciously choosing your commitments. If you choose monogamy blindly out of fear of judgment, then it's not authentic. But if you choose it every single day, knowing what it demands, then it becomes freedom, not a cage. Simone de Beauvoir warned that traditional love often becomes oppressive, especially for women, when it's tied to ownership and sacrifice. But she also believed love could be liberating if it's built on equality and mutual choice. And then Foucault would ask us, why do we even allow society to regulate love and sexuality at all? Why should governments, religions, or traditions dictate who and how many people we're allowed to love? So maybe the real question isn't, is monogamy natural? Maybe the real question is monogamy authentic for you? Because love isn't one size fits all. For some, exclusivity is safety. For others, it's suffocation. And the tragedy is when people force themselves into a system that doesn't fit just to be accepted by others. Think of it like this. A shoe that fits one person perfectly may crush another's foot. That doesn't mean the shoe is evil. It just means it wasn't made for everyone. Conclusion and solutions. So where does all of this leave us? Is monogamy natural or is it a social prison? The truth is, it's both. For some, monogamy feels like a cage, restrictive, suffocating, a demand to amputate a part of themselves just to fit into society's mold. For others, it feels like the purest form of love, a safe space where two people choose each other above all else. So here's the real solution. Monogamy should never be the default. It should be a choice, and a choice made with eyes wide open. If you're going to commit to one person forever, don't do it because your culture told you to or because your family expects it. Do it because you know this is the love that feels true for you. And if monogamy doesn't feel like your truth, then have the courage to build love differently. Choose polyamory, serial monogamy, open relationships, whatever aligns with your authentic self. Because here's the deeper truth. A monogamous lie is worse than a non-monogamous truth. Love thrives on honesty, not conformity. Love thrives on freedom, not fear. And love thrives on respect, not rules. So I'll leave you with this question. Are you choosing monogamy because it's your truth, or because you're afraid of what people will say if you don't? If this video made you think differently, let me know in the comments below. And if you believe love should be authentic, whether monogamous or not, type real right now so I know you're part of this conversation. And don't forget, hit that subscribe button before you leave, because here at Psych Rhythm, we don't just talk about relationships. We challenge the very rules they're built on. And trust me, the next video is going to shake you even harder than this one.